USA is pretty good, especially in the Silicon Valley area. I put them in that quadrant. Next, please. So what is a Taiwan entrepreneur? That's per my definition. It's a person, I'm sure a lot of people from Taiwan, you know that. They'd rather be a chicken's head, but don't want to be the tail of an ox. An ox tail actually is far heavier, bigger than a chicken head. But that's immaterial. So therefore, on the other hand, they are not like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, who are the Ivy League dropouts. But most of the Taiwan entrepreneurs pretty much at least finish college. Okay, some of them at least the vocational school. So education, again, you see, that's the Oriental culture. Education is important. Whether that piece of paper hanging on the wall is valuable or meaningful, it doesn't matter. You need to get a degree. And one is who's always ready to catch up the opportunities. So the opportunity is always floating around you. If you don't catch it, you just don't get on the train. But you have to be ready to catch up. But they are very fast. Then who are mentally like a Viet Cong. It's a guerrilla warfare fighters. But they did some graduate study in West Point. Now, what's the difference between them? The Viet Congs can carry 2 or 3 days' rice and walk the whole night, and the Americans couldn't catch them, right? And then they occupy the place, fight first. Then the West Point will teach you need a communication network, you need the logistics, support everything. You studied, learned everything. The last thing you ask is, where is the enemy? Okay? So that's the difference. Therefore, the Taiwan entrepreneurs, they have some of those discipline, but not quite West Point graduates. But then they also have the guerrilla warfare fighters mentality to move very fast. So they adapt it. They import anything, right? From technology and everything. Money, that's the best. So you can import. And they are almost like, if you know what kamikaze pilot is during those Second World War time, the Japanese one. But the Taiwan kamikaze pilot, they make 100 landings. In other words, if they don't find a very good aircraft carrier to hit at, they come back. Now, usually, the Japanese people said that when you take off, the wheel, the landing gears disappeared. But if the Taiwanese pilot, they will find some way to defeat that. Okay? So they are very comfortable in the Taiwan business culture. And also that's another Taiwanese saying, when I went back to Taiwan as a consultant, and I learned a lot because obviously, I've been in this country so long. My culture clashes with theirs. And I learned. It said, I'm sure the Chinese, if you understand, 上有政策,下有对策. In other words, no matter what you have at the top, I will find some way. That's my description of the Taiwanese entrepreneurs. Okay, next one, please. And then the Germans asked me over there, said, how come the Taiwan's liquid crystal industry started so fast? We Germans started earlier than they did, but we couldn't catch up. How come? They asked me to give a talk. So I gave them a talk. But after giving them all the statistical numbers, things like that, they still don't believe it. They said, no, it's something else. I said, yes, you really want to know? I said, fine. It's the Taiwan's entrepreneurship spirit. Then they said, what is it? I said, okay. I said, have you been in Las Vegas? And how many Germans you see in Las Vegas on the gambling table? And if you want to find the Taiwanese, a lot of them. Okay? So they take risk, they gamble, and then if they want to catch the market, they will give you a price. They knew they couldn't make it at this time. But they give you first, grab the order, and have the market, and then make it, and make money. That's the difference. I said, you Germans had it too good. You have a good social system and safe, nice living. You don't want to take risk. That's the problem, okay? So next, please. Then let's talk about Taiwan's entrepreneurship and the VC situation. From the 86 to 2000 was really the glorious days, okay? And the government at that time, because Taiwan was transferring from agricultural society into an industrial one. Then they want to import everything and fast. Nobody has the capital to do that. So the government started. So they have the money and get some private investment, get together. Then there's a lot of the expatriates go back to Taiwan at the time because the government actively come to U.S., Europe, everywhere to recruiting people go back. And at that time, we have a ex-AT&T club, about 150 plus more families. They are working here many years, but went back to Taiwan. And there's an ex-IBM club, more than 100 families. So a lot of these people went back. They bring back with their experience and their ideas, and they see there's an opportunity there to start a new business as an entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, the famous Hsinchu Science Park was actually two people used to be my colleagues back in IBM, East Fishkill, Irving Ho, Dr. Irving Ho, and Dr. Tung, two of them. And then they worked on this Hsinchu Science Park. And that time, I went back first to take a look, was just a few buildings, break the ground with a few buildings. But then the startups in the science park, 90% probably was started by these expatriates went back. So therefore, the government staged VC activities. Initiated the first phase, 1985, which was only few of the new business started. Then 1991 has another wave, 1998 another wave, about 130 some startups. And then, of course, if you look at them, as time goes by, they move from semiconductor, optoelectronics, and they move to biotech. And the rest is history, okay? You already know UMC, TSMC, and all that. UMC is the first to spin off from the institute called ITRI, ITRI, the Industrial Technology Research Institute. So even ITRI, since ITRI have the spin off, he will get a certain percentage of the stocks of those startups. So therefore, ITRI itself has money. So ITRI itself started its own VC. It's called ITIC. And they use that money and look at good ideas and to invest into startups. And this is just to show you the complicated relationship with all this, how the R&D and government funding and how they go to IPO. And IPO can be either in Taiwan and can be also in the NASDAQ. But here's something funny. Let me show you. What was it? I think there's one. Oh, yeah. There's a market trade before the company went through an IPO. For example, TSMC, before TSMC even went on the market, public, the most popular person of the whole company is the guard of the entrance to the TSMC, because the employees of TSMC will tell the guard, said, I have how many shares I want to sell. And so the people drive up to the guard, said, I need how many shares. And then they do trade that way. And I think that's very unique. I haven't seen that in the United States. So you talk about entrepreneurship, that is. Okay. Next one, please. Okay. These are some statistics, if you talk about the kind of things, number always very impressive. But sometimes I said, okay, I give you all the numbers. What does it mean? It's almost like, sorry about it, and business school graduates, it's like the case studies. It's just obituaries, I mean, it's over. It's done. Okay. All right. So that's, and you can see when the Taiwan's industry coming up, many of the investment come from the company. That has a good or bad, because good, you have money. Bad is you're influenced by behind the big company. Big company, as you know, usually are more conservative. It's not very conducive to risk-taking entrepreneurs. Okay.